welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Welcome back. This was not an invitation for you to come over here. Welcome back in episode 331. I'm talking to the dog. It's been a hellish day for the White household this morning. As I typically do, I take Maverick with me to the you know what? I've been doing this. I've been a professional recording in front of a microphone for at least 12 years. Sometimes I forget. I turn my body and I talk away from the microphone as much as I possibly can. Any Hoosers, I take him to the recycling plant with me. As I typically do, I take him to the recycling plant with me. Not every day. So it's not an everyday thing. Don't think I do it every single day. Once a week. Yes, we have recycling here at my apartment complex, but people just mix in their garbage with it too, and it's just I want to do what's best for this environment. Swiping away the music that was playing on my phone. I want to do what's best for this environment. Anyway, I take him to the recycling plant with me, and then I zip back home. We usually go to the dog park. We usually go for a walk. And Grant Park, because my recycling plant is near Grant Park. It's called Charm, the Center for Hard to Recycle Materials. But it rains, so I can't take him to the dog park I usually take him to. And quite frankly, I just didn't want to go for a walk in Grant Park because we went there last week. So I said, let's just go back home. We take the 10-minute ride back home. I must have been too rough. And I'll admit to it. I'll admit to being a little too rough driving. But I like, hey, Nova, do not scratch the couch. Nova, stop. That's embarrassing. I usually don't. You never see me scream at the cat. I'm always screaming at the dog. Hey, stop it. There's multiple, another deviance in this. There's multiple cat scratch trees in the house, and yet she decides to mess around with the couch. Okay. That's how I know she's still in good spirits. I don't know if I mentioned this, she has a mass on her side. It needs to get surgerized. Because the cells are cancerous and not cancerous. It's the whole thing. It's very sad. Unfortunately, she will be losing a leg, is what I learned last week. Friday night, 7 p.m., I get a call. She's losing. Hey, your cat is going to have to get amputated. I'm just like, well, shit. That sucks. So, I drive back home so we can just go for a nice little walk just from the house. We get out the car. I hear Maverick. Oh, Jesus Christ. I hear Maverick make a noise that I've only heard him once make when I went to go pick him up a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now, from his home where he was rescued by a family friend a couple weeks prior. And I know he's about to vomit. We get out the car, and I am rushing him back to the house. And we're going down a set of stairs. He immediately throws up. Just all of his food. I see undigested blueberries, because yes, I do feed him some fresh food as well. And I lose my temper. I'm like, Merrick, look what you did. I don't scream at him loud. I'm like, get inside the house. Put him inside. I have to clean up all the vomit that's on the stairs. I hear there's like people. There's at least one or two people over the course of the 5 minutes it took me to clean up to go back inside, go get a trash bag. I'm supposed to be introducing an interview, and I'll get to that in a second. Anyway, I had to clean up vomit, and it just stunk. And then we went on a walk. Then we were coming back. I was listening to The Two Towers. I'm on the second book of the Lord of the Rings franchise. listening to Two Towers, and we're walking up a different set of stairs, and I hear at the very last second a dog walker coming in, coming down from the stairs. Me going in the stairs. Now we're in this tight hallway, and I know for a fact Maverick's gonna freak out, but I only have like a second to react. So we're at the top of the stairs. She's at the bottom of a second set of stairs, and the dogs see each other. They freak out. I'm like, no! He almost pushes me off the stairs. I almost fall back. And she's like laughing. She's like, oh, yeah, I'm so sorry. And I'm like freaked out because I had a 60-pound dog just like push its weight back into me. And I'm like, that's fine. I'm going straight. Oh, my gosh. How hectic. That's pretty much it. That's all that's been happening. Hey, listen, I have to introduce an interview. Oh my gosh. Again, I could start this over anytime, but I don't want to. The professional thing is to let it keep going and to let things blow over. Like when the cat was doing the thing on the couch and when the dog was chasing the cat. Alexander Hodge is the person I chatted with. I don't even know. I don't remember when. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. He's a wonderful actor. You may have seen in Insecure. You may have seen him in Black Lightning. You may have seen him in, what is Tommy? Tommy is a CBS show. I could not tell you what this show was. You may have seen him in the movie Joyride. He's a fabulous actor, very cool, and very smart. But now you can see him in the main cast of Grosse Garden Society, which is an NBC show created by Jenna Bans and Bill Krebs. I enjoy it. I'm not kidding. It's a show that I really liked when I sat down to watch the first 2 episodes. I sat down to watch the first episode before I spoke to Alexander. He's the first. Yeah, he's the first one. Yeah. Because this is I'm sorry. I'm so behind on these interviews. I had so many just piled up, which is great. But I sat down to watch this show because of him, and I said, I'm gonna watch the second episode because I had so much time before his interview, and I went, oh my gosh, it's a great show. I really enjoy it. What is the premise of the show? There's 4 members of a suburban garden club. Jesus Christ. Share a murderous secret in the affluent Detroit suburb of Grosse Pointe, Michigan. However, it was shot here in Atlanta. The only reason that I know that was because there was an episode, I believe in the first episode, in the pilot, the premiere. What's her name? Melissa Fumero's Birdie character, Fumero, was at a bookstore. And when I saw the bookstore, I went, that is in Virginia Highland. That's right up the street. 5-minute drive. Well, it's 4:41, so traffic's going to be bad. Wouldn't recommend riding my bike up there, so... Parking's a nightmare. It's close. It's a closed bookstore. And I went, there it is. This is in Atlanta. Then I saw something else and I went, that's definitely Atlanta. And I never looked it up. And then Alexander said something and I went, it's in Atlanta. Yeah. Anyway, it's an excellent show. I really do enjoy it. It's funny. It's dark. It's sad. They bill it as a drama. I would say it's a dramedy. Anyway, it's got a great cast, including Melissa Fumero, as I mentioned, Asia Naomi King, Ben Rappaport, Anna Sophia Robb, Matthew Davis, Alexander himself, Jocko Sims, and Nancy Travis. It's reminiscent. If you are a fan of The Desperate Housewives, then you will like a show like this. It's got murder. It's got adultery. So I spoke to Alex about the show. Again, he's a very smart guy. Down to earth, chill. Anyways, check it out. It's coming up right now after this. If you want to follow Alexander on social media, you can find him on Instagram at XR Hodge, HODGE. You can see a video version of the chat over there on youtube.com/C plus comedy. You can listen to the audio version right now. Anyway, we will be back with the rest of this episode, and I'm sure some ramblings at the end of this. Enjoy. And we're back. Welcome back into the show. Oh my gosh. Usually, I would save that 6-minute preamble up top for this part of the episode. But quite frankly, I was looking at the rundown for the show. And I was not even paying attention to it. I was looking at it, was not paying attention to it. I hope you enjoyed the chat I had with Alexander. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. You'll see another conversation with some other people for the next couple of weeks. Watch the video. Sometimes my cute little face makes some faces. Anyway, here we are back at it again. I just watched Everybody's Live with John Mulaney. That is I'll save what my response for that show for Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show, the podcast that is released on Fridays under the C Plus Comedy banner. For now, let's get on to the stories because, quite frankly, I have yoga planned and it's an hour long. It's 2 classes, 2 30-minute classes. This morning, you know what? I'll do this. You might see, I know it's a little dark because it is a rainy Thursday. Rainy Thursday! Like Lazy Sunday. Okay. You might see behind me, near the white, under the Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. poster that I framed. You might see that there's 2 mats sitting on top of each other. They're both sitting on top of the bike. This morning, I get home from the gym. Also, I had the best. Oh my god, the perfect. Usually Thursdays are my boxing days, and I use the sled and the battle rope, and jump rope, and what's it? The sled, battle rope, jump rope, and I have a ladder too. So please stop texting me. I don't receive texts a lot, and somebody that I'm annoyed with has texted me. The only text I've received in a week. Very true. Anyway, you stink, my man. He just yawned. He stinks. I had a great. Usually it's like 2 hours long at the gym, but today it was an hour 42. Applause, please. I get home and I cycle. I do, if you want to know, I did a who's name? Matt Wilper's rock, pop punk class and a Sam Yo grunge class and a Ben Aldis low impact class as my finisher. And I get off the bike and I and I lay out a second mat. First of all, I'm dripping the entire time. Second, I get out a second mat so I can stretch. I grab the Theragun, and quite frankly, I have pictures of it. And you know what? I might put the pictures. We'll see. I might put the pictures in the video. But quite frankly, it looks like I peed myself. It straight up looks like I urinated on myself. And I'm gonna share the photos right now. I'm gonna close out some emails. And I'm gonna share the photos right now. Because it sincerely, like it's insane. It's insane how you see that water dripping down my legs. Oh my gosh. And that's just sweat. Look at that. And it kept it kept coming. If you're watching the video, you saw what phone I have and the details of the photo. It was so disgusting. But I had a nice time. Then I used a Theragun. Anyway, 16 minutes in. Let's get... Actually, it's probably longer than that because I threw in Alexander's interview. So I'm going to say 24. 16 plus 8, 24. I'm good at math, baby. Let's get this first one. This comes from the rap written by Kayla Cobb. The Disney Plus launches a 24/7 The Simpsons live stream. Right now, because they're in the midst of season 36 airing on Fox, you get a curated feed of 35 seasons of The Simpsons streaming 24/7. Disney Plus has been doing these live streams. They have a superhero one, they have a kid one, they have ABC News, which is something you could already get on Hulu. They also have, they have another one. I think a nostalgia one. I don't remember, but anyway. They already have a handful of live streams, and now they're introducing a Simpsons one. Unfortunately, they're running top to bottom, so first episode to the most current episode, so you will know what's coming up. It's what they do on FX, which is something I hate. FX airs. I'm glad they do air Family Guy and The Simpsons and Bob's Burgers and Futurama and King of the Hill and things like that. However, I would love for them just to mix it up. Mix it up. Have a Marge Monday and share episodes about Marge. They do this on the weekend sometimes, but it doesn't happen all the time. And I know that would require, I worked in television, that would require them to plan these things out. When I was at Cartoon Network, we planned marathons, themed marathons, and people would be able to pitch names on it and things like that. So there you go. I know it exists. I know it can happen, but I don't know if there are people that actually work at FX anymore. FXX, excuse me, not FX. It's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. When we had meetings, a little behind the scenes of Cartoon Network. When we had meetings about Cartoon Network, it was also meetings about Adult Swim. They were all the same meeting. And then when Cartoonito, I don't know if that's still running, which was the preschool thing. When that was introduced, it was all the same meeting. 767 episodes across the 35 seasons. And then at some point when season 36 ends and season 37 begins, and they put season 36 on the Simpsons regular on Disney Plus, under the Simpsons thing, then you'll get all those episodes as well. That's 300 continuous hours. Oh my gosh, of that show. I love it. I watch The Simpsons every single day. I'm getting choked up. I watch The Simpsons every single day, so this is nothing to me. That's just another thing for me to toss on. The other thing for me to toss on, Paramount Plus, they have a 80s comedy channel. On the weekends, it's more than likely going to be playing Cheers. And I love it. I always put it on. Friday, it's in the afternoon or the early evening. I just need something on, and I'm not watching golf at the moment. Boom, put on Cheers. If you look under YouTube TV, under my library section, you will see my most watched shows. Top row is always, and I looked at this last night, and I was pissed that it changed, but it's usually The Simpsons, American Dad, PGA Golf, and PBS NewsHour in one of those orders, and then the rest it like kind of fills in. What was it? Last night it was this is not information to anybody, but it was PBS NewsHour, The Simpsons, Golf, and then American Dad. And I was pissed. And I was like, why is The Simpsons what is going on? Why is The Simpsons not right now? It's American Dad, The Simpsons, PGA Tour, PBS NewsHour. And then a lot of late night stuff. Then TGL, the Golf League. That's great. CBS Sunday Morning. I'm a very boring person. and Law and Order. That's another show. That's always airing at some point. Law and Order or SVU. Speaking of which, and I'll get back to the story in a second. It makes me so frustrated when NBC pulls Law and Order Organized Crime, which is the Stabler show, from NBC proper, and they replace it with Found at 10 p.m. on Thursdays after SVU. And then they say the Organized Crime is going to be on Peacock. It gets a reduced order, I assume. I assume it's only going to be 10 or 13 episodes. And then they're going to air the premiere on NBC. The reason I bring this up is because Peacock had the latest One Chicago crossover, which is Chicago Med, Chicago Fire, Chicago PD. There was a gas leak, I guess, and it was letting off explosions and people caused an explosion. They were trying to rob this healthcare company, I guess. I don't remember. I did watch it on Sunday. This is very true. I watched it on Sunday because it was going to disappear from Peacock in 2 days. I love the crossover events. I have never seen I've never intentionally sat down and watched FBI or FBI Most Wanted or International. One of those is canceled now. But I've never watched those from top to bottom. But man, you tell me there's a crossover, I'm gonna pop up. I'm gonna pop up, watch an FBI crossover. I'm gonna pop in, watch a Chicago crossover. NBC has been giving so much effort to Chicago because Chicago gets consistent ratings. They bring back Law and Order Vanilla, and it's fine. They never should have canceled it in the first place, but they bring it back to pair with SVU and Organized Crime. Organized Crime doesn't do the numbers that they want it to do, so they move it to Peacock. If right now broadcast television, forget cable. Broadcast television is at this point where they have to exceed in a way that is unrealistic compared to streaming. They have to make shows that are different, and they also have to make kind of like what's happening in film right now, blockbusters and mainstays that people will consistently watch. And that's where you get Dick Wolf on 2 different networks with 3 different nights. That's where you get constant remakes. That's where you get prequels and sequels. That's why we have a Young Sheldon. And you know what? People watched it. I assume people are watching Georgie and Margie's First Marriage. I don't know if that's what it's called. And people, I assume, will watch the new spinoff Stuart Saves the World or Doesn't Save the World. I think that's what it's called. Stuart Doesn't Save the World. And I will not go back and double check any of those names. So what are you trying to get when you see that? And now I'm throwing this out to not just NBC but every other broadcast network. When you cancel one of the FBI shows, and then you're going to bring on another show called FBI CIA, which I don't know how that's going to happen. FBI CIA, just call it CIA. But when you know, comparatively, what do you want? What are because the viewers are going to watch how they want to watch, whether they watch it live, plus same day via a streaming platform or via a DVR platform, whether they watch it live plus 7 days. And those are terms that Nielsen ratings and these networks will use in order to say, hey, the 2 million watched it live, but 7 million 15 million watched it in total over the course of 3 to 7 days or however. People are going to tune in when they want to tune in. And you just have to give these shows a chance. Even if this is even for shows that I don't necessarily like or watch. This is for FBI. This is for Doc Odyssey. This is for Doc. Is it Dr. Odyssey? There's Doc and there's Dr. Odyssey. This is for Crime Scene Kitchen. This is for every single one of these shows that that whether you like it or not, you're going to have to give time. FBI International was the one that was canceled. And that stars, you know what? I'm not trying to be mean. I don't know a single one of these people. And good for them. It looks like the main character left in season 3. Yeah, he left. Another main character left in season 3. What? Well, you know, they have really decent ratings. 7 million averaging. I was prior to this, when I was watching Everybody's Live in LA. I was on Wikipedia and I was looking at the Grey's Anatomy Wikipedia. I think what I saw was Ellen Pompeo is starring in a new show, and I went, oh yeah, she left Grey's Anatomy. Let me go check out who the main characters are now. And I went, and then where am I going with this? But I saw that she even though she left the show, her character still narrates the series and everything. But I was looking at the ratings and I thought the ratings are still pretty decent. There has to be some type of culpability when it comes to just accepting what broadcast TV is at this point. And NBC, what I'm saying is, put organized crime back on broadcast. I don't want to have to go to and look, I'll watch it on Peacock. I'll end up watching it on Peacock. That's the thing. But I don't. There's just so much emphasis on Chicago at this point. What I really want is I want more crossovers. I think that's what I want in the end. I just want more crossovers. When I was watching Chicago, the show One Chicago crossover, the entire time, besides going, who's that? Wait, what show is this? And then the credits would also everything was edited into one 2 hour and 5 minute long episode. But there were no theme songs. There were no intro credits or whatever. But they still left in the credits for like the title credits for each episode. So you would see like produced by Dick Wolf and starring these people at the top of every hour. And I would try to guess which episode we're on. Like, oh, we're on Chicago Med now. Oh, we're on Chicago PD. Oh, we're on Chicago Fire. Not getting it right anytime. But I just want more crossover, and I understand. I know what goes behind this. It's money and time, but it'd be great if we just had more crossover, and more people would probably tune in. Hey, Olivia's popping up on organized crime. I also want a crossover between FBI and there's crossovers between FBI and Chicago, and I think there's one crossover with SVU and FBI. I want more. Supergirl was able to cross over with The Flash when she was on CBS. I just miss crossovers. All right, let's move on. Disney Plus getting The Simpsons live stream. Oh, also, here's the thing. Here's something that Kayla Cobb wrote in this piece that I really like. It also makes sense that the streamer would expand this particular feature with a title in the adult animation space. These types of shows consistently rank among the most watched for streamers, with many of their fans watching them continuously. That's a fact. If you, again, like I just said, I put on Cheers. I and I just let it play. I watch The Simpsons every single day. Every single one of these shows, The Simpsons, Family Guy, Bob's Burgers, King of the Hill, Archer, all these adult I don't know the Cleveland show, but all these adult animation shows people love and people will watch over and over again. She writes, in fact, both Family Guy and Bob's Burgers ranked among the most streamed series of 2024 according to Nielsen, accounting for 42.44 billion viewing minutes and 36.8 billion minutes respectively. I wonder where The Simpsons lies on that. because even the people that only watch the quote unquote golden years, which are I think are 3 through 9 or 3 through 10. I don't know. I watch every single episode. I'm not a bitch. I wonder if it ranks highly. But yeah, I believe that Family Guy and Bob's Burgers are some of the a couple of the most watched streamed shows. All right, this next one comes from GameSpot. Yes, not GameStop, the store. Eddie Makuch wrote it. Makuch. Makuch. Didn't want to say that. Sorry. EA will, I just said bitch like 10 minutes ago. like 10 minutes. Yeah, 10 minutes, 10 seconds, whatever. EA will pay student athletes $1,500 to appear in CFB 26, which I believe is college football 26. More than double last year's rate. More than double last year's rate. I'm patting the dog, except I'm patting him on his side. EA is expected to spend $16.5 million or more on payments to student athletes this year for NIL deals. This is huge. We need to college athletes have been able to get paid for the past 2 years, I believe. And now that EA has brought back college football last year, they are incentivizing these people, these young adults who aren't even formed in the brain yet. To at least the men are not until you're 25, at least, and even still, I know some 30-year-olds who act like jackasses. These people are fairly young. These young athletes are getting a decent amount, especially if you're not repped. Imagine being somebody who probably has, you're a player, you're a utility player, and you probably have no other recourse outside of these college sports. Like, you're probably not going to make it in the sport. That's just based on statistics. You know me, I'm a big statistics guy. Last year, college athletes were paid $600 for their likenesses to be used in college football 25, and now they're doubling that, $1,500. This is in an email obtained by The Athletic. Additionally, players will receive a deluxe copy of the game, which was also offered in 2025. EA will pay some athletes more for appearing as brand ambassadors, just like last year. I assume these are the bigger players as well, the players who are likely to be drafted, or even they're just probably going to they're going to enter the draft, and it'll be good for them to be able to go on their Instagrams or TikToks or Blue Sky accounts and say, "Hey, I'm an ambassador for college football 26. The game's going to be great. Here's the features you can expect." Or more than likely, they will say something in broken English because they're football players and they're stupid. Oh, God. Somebody's going to shoot me to impress Jodie Foster. She'll be like, who's this? More than 11,000 athletes appeared in CBB, Comedy Bang Bang 25. In CFB 25 through name, image, and likeness deals, NIL. With EA spending more than $6 million to cover that, a spokesperson told The Athletic that EA will double its payment to players to more than $16.5 million to help them feel recognized for their success of CFB 25. Of note, the $16.5 million figure reportedly does not include any other payments to certain players who have ambassador deals or for further payments to cover athletes. Okay, so it seems to me that even if you are somebody who is going to be the number one draft pick or even number round one draft pick, if you're going to be a top draft pick, it seems to me that it is likely that everybody's going to get paid the same. Versus if you play a sport in college at this point in time, no matter where, depending on where you go and depending on the deals that you have, and depending on the agents, you can get paid more like a job. You can get paid more or less. All I care about is that these kids get paid because they're children. They're children. And then people get mad at them because they didn't do the thing that they wanted them to do. They yell at them. That's ridiculous. This is why I don't watch college sports. When they're adults and they're getting paid, yell at them. Don't be racist. Don't be sexist. Ugh. But don't yell at kids. 20 years old. They don't even have a grasp of the English language because they're football players. Have you ever? I'm gonna say this. Have you ever heard anybody from sports have a conversation? It's just, come on. Been knocked around too many times. According to Front Office Sports, EA is I've been knocked around too many times, going to negotiate royalty-based payments for certain players on top of the $1,500 appearance fee. I assume the royalty payments will be fine for the top players, for the best quarterback, the best receivers, the best defense players. They will vary in payment, and they will, by the time college football is over next year, I can only imagine there'll be a sharp decline in the royalty. The game's going to launch in July. EA Sports executive Daryl Holt told The Athletic that the team knew it was never going to be able to get everything it wanted to do in 2024's game. All right, well, this is going to happen. Hey, speaking of sports, this comes from cordcuttersnews.com. Luke Boma writes, ESPN will reportedly spend $2 billion to buy the NFL Network, NFL Red Zone, and NFL Plus. Here's a couple of things. They are in talks to do so. It's not reportedly going to happen. It's something that could happen, but it's not something that it's something that could happen. It's something that they're in talks for, but it's not something that is happening imminently. And also, this would be the second major sports rights acquisition that Disney would make this calendar year, I believe, after basketball. And they're also dropping MLB for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know if they get good ratings on that. Bowman writes, negotiations between ESPN and NFL over the potential acquisition of NFL media are gaining steam, with fresh details emerging that suggest a blockbuster deal could be on the horizon, as reported by The Athletic's Andrew Marchand, who's an excellent writer, if you read The Athletic. On his Marchand Sports Media podcast this week, ESPN might shell out, as much as $2 billion to bring NFL media under its umbrella, a move that could also see the NFL taking an ownership stake in the network. The thing is, NFL already, if that last part is true, NFL taking an ownership stake in ESPN, if that part is true, you already have NFL Network. And I understand that it costs money to run a channel. As we've seen, Vice used to have Viceland. They bought that from the History Channel. They bought H2, History Channel 2, which was H2 at the time. And then they turned it to Viceland. And now you couldn't get it anywhere. I was lucky. I was living at home at the time. Yeah, no big deal. I could get it on Charter, but you couldn't get it on other major platforms. You can't even get it on YouTube TV now. And I'm pretty sure it's still on. Anyway, but NFL recently in the last year reduced so much staff on NFL Network. They took one of my favorite sports analysis shows, Good Morning Football, and they moved it to the West Coast. And now it's just kind of like a Frankenstein's monster version of what it was. And it's still fine, but it's, now it's on the West Coast. It's different. They reduced coverage everything that NFL Network used to have. They took away so many shows, and they let go so many people. What would you necessarily do with ESPN if you had a minority stake in it? This is also NBA. NBA's network is owned partially. I think it might be owned fully or entirely, but I don't know. But it's owned at least partially by Warner Brothers. And even still, it's the only time that I notice that NBA TV is on is when they happen to have a game or they're doing one of their evening analysis shows. And if it's owned by Warner Brothers, I don't know. As somebody who worked at Warner Brothers here in Atlanta, I don't know if the studio was here. It might have been. I'm not going to double check. I remember the first time I saw the NBA on TNT studio. I was in between shows at CNN. So this is even after my Cartoon Network tenure. I was in between shows at CNN, and I was just walking around the building. I was bored. I was just walking around the building, and I went down this hallway, and I went down the hallway, and it just kept opening up, and I just saw this big studio, and I went, oh, it's NBA on TNT, and they were setting up for that night's show, and I went, all right, I should probably not be in here. So it's one of the few times where I said, I'm going to turn around and not risk getting in trouble. Marchand likened the potential acquisition to a pivotal moment in ESPN's history, its 1987 acquisition of NFL rights, which gave the network a major edge in cable carriage negotiations. Marchand said, when we look back in 10, 15 years, if this deal goes down, this could be very significant for a point of ESPN's growth, which is already the biggest sports network. We're really in a full streaming world, and I think it's pretty significant whether it happens in the next few months or not. Yeah, I this makes me think, if this is all in fact true, the NFL games that already currently air, you get Red Zone, please don't walk under the desk, honey. You get Red Zone already. You get the broadcasters, so CBS, Fox, and NBC. They need their games. Sunday night games are out. Thursday night games are out. So where is that? I think Saturday games air on broadcast as well. I know they air on Peacock for some reason. Does this mean that besides Monday Night Football, besides the Manning cast, besides the Simpsons cast, besides Stephen A. Smith's like once a year, I think, football cast, does this mean that ESPN will get more NFL coverage? Does this mean the NFL will have more room to produce more NFL films, even though I think they shuttered that entire section? Boma writes, and I think this is complete conjecture, the deal's appeal goes beyond just content. It's about cementing ESPN's long-term relationship with the NFL. Oh, okay. I'm just scanning over this article. ESPN, if this deal does go through, this would make ESPN probably the biggest power player when it comes to airing sports. And this would really help out with the launch of the ESPN solo streaming platform. It would make a reason... Nova, stop. It would make a reason for why ESPN Plus would go by the wayside. ESPN, the streaming platform, would get NBA games, for the time being MLB games, NHL games. I don't know if ESPN airs any soccer games. They would have all ESPN Ocho stuff because nobody else is going to carry that. And then they would have NFL games as well if they have the streaming rights to that. I don't know if that's separate from what they air already. But that would put them in a position of being a power player for sports streaming. And Disney also owns Fubo, right? Yeah, because Hulu. Yeah. I this is streaming has really screwed up a lot of what's going on in terms of television, for better or for worse. Every movie on Netflix looks the same. Again, I'm not kidding. Any streamer, Tubi, Netflix, Crunchyroll, anybody who Hulu, Prime Video, Paramount Plus, anybody who wants Peacock, anybody who wants my stuff, I'll sell it to you. I have plenty of ideas. I was looking at them last night. Plenty of ideas. Let's go. I'm ready. You give me $50,000. I'll make something. I'll make something for 10. Keep the 40 for myself. But I think it's an interesting idea. But it does make a monopoly in terms of sports airing and things like that. But I don't at this point I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters. I don't think people care as long as excuse me, I don't think companies care as long as people watch. There will be people like me who will say, "Oh, this is ridiculous. I can't watch all the NFL games. I have to use the ESPN app. Well, now I have to pay for that." If the Simpsons were not on Disney Plus, I would not have Disney Plus. Plain and simple. I think about that all the time. All right, this final thing comes from Etten Vlessing over at The Hollywood Reporter, the up-and-coming cities swiping Hollywood's dollars. I mentioned after the Andrew Hodge interview that, or maybe during, I don't remember. This episode's been going on for way too long. I mentioned that Grosse Garden Society was filmed in Atlanta, and even though it takes place in Grosse Pointe, Michigan, or what have you, Grosse Pointe, Detroit, Grosse Pointe, Michigan. I've been knocked around my head a few times. So he has a call back to when I called the football player stupid. This is for Jodie Foster. There have been a lot of shows and a lot of movies over the past couple of years have been moving to different areas to shoot their projects. Atlanta is obviously one of them. Chicago has been a mainstay for a very long time. People like oh God, I can see his face. Danny McBride. Danny McBride moved his entire company to he moved his entire company to Charleston, and now he shoots everything out there. Florida's got some things. The golf league, TGL, is in Florida. So also a lot of those golfers live there. There's a girl on Survivor this season who I'm in love with, and she lives in Florida. I would not move to Florida, but I think about it. Maverick reacted to that. Well, we're not going to go to Florida. But the problem is, over the past couple of years, is that production has just been leaving Los Angeles. And Governor Gavin Newsom is trying to stop that. He's trying to create more film and TV tax incentives by increasing the rate from, by increasing the pledge entirely from $330 million to $750 million a year, which means that any production will be able to have, a piece of that pie if they decide to keep production in Los Angeles. And that means, everybody's live in LA that shoots in LA. They get incentives. Netflix will get paid money just to stay in LA. But there are cheaper sound stages all over the place. There a lot of shows, like I know Young Rock, for instance, went to New Zealand, and they played that for the South. A bunch of I think La Brea. I talked to Josh McKenzie from The Hunting Party. That he said that was shot in overseas. Even New Jersey. People are going to New Jersey. And as Hamilton says, nobody lives in New Jersey. I don't remember what they... I did listen to that album again yesterday. I love Hamilton. I love it so much. I was one of the first. Anthony Rapp appeared on Never Not Funny, which was one of the first podcasts, one of the original podcasts. Anyway, he appeared on Never Not Funny several months before Hamilton left left off Broadway. And he was like, you guys got to see this show. It's going to be big. And as soon as the album was available, I listened to it and I went, mind blown. And you can ask my friends, because that was the year I graduated from college. You can ask my friends. I was talking about it. I was like, oh, Hamilton. And then it blew up. And all these people who never listened to a rap song in their life, they're like, oh, I love Hamilton. Now, who is this Biggie Smalls person that this song is referenced? Ridiculous. Louisville, Kentucky was shot. Louisville, Kentucky has a couple of programs and movies in it. Gus Van Sant's upcoming crime feature, Dead Man's Wire, and Dustin Hoffman drama, The Revisionist, nabs incentives to shoot there. Plans are underway for a $75 million redevelopment of the historic Louisville Gardens Arena into a film studio with reconstruction. That sentence was so strange. Yeah. Okay, that's a strange sentence. With reconstruction scheduled to begin later this year, says Louisville Film Commissioner Susie Eastman. That's Eastman, Soozie. That entire redevelopment is backed by a refundable 30 to 35% Kentucky film tax credit that has a per project cap, of $10 million. Oh my gosh! Then there's North Carolina. They've got veteran director and producer Robert Ripberger, cool name, rebranded his Ascent Studios in the town of Spring Hope as White Lightning Studios with new investment partners, hoping that his state's 25% tax rebate will give the complex a boost. There's places in Wilmington. There's, obviously we know Atlanta. There's Hollywood production hubs abroad, like in the UK, where the new tax relief for the film studios is making an already busy locale a bigger draw. In February, Eastbrook Studios, London's largest film and TV studio campus, with its 12 sound stages operated by Los Angeles-based property developer Hackman Capital Partners and its affiliate, the MBS Group, opened its doors for Hollywood production. The launch coincided with the UK government introducing a 40% corporate tax rate relief for film and TV studio facilities until 2034, and a new indie film incentive for 40%. Now, if people are able to get this is how productions save money. This is how you figure out that, hey, we can take our show to New Zealand or shoot. There's a Good Cop, Bad Cop on the CW that's shot in Australia, even though I believe it takes place in America. Who's that star? Leighton Meester. Never seen an episode, but I can pull it like that. So that's how these incentives are a way that a network or a studio can save money by shooting somewhere else. If it costs, $75 million, I'm just making up a number. I named my baby $75 million, but if it costs $75 million to shoot a show in LA, whereas, I don't know, what show costs $75 million to shoot a limited series starring Robert De Niro in LA. I don't know. If it costs $75 million to shoot something in LA, but it costs $50 million to shoot it in Australia, you're going to take that. And the discrepancies could be larger than that. It could be smaller than that. But the fact is, companies would rather save the money, get the money back, and maneuver it elsewhere as opposed to shooting here. in America or even here in Atlanta and shoot it somewhere else, like in Lexington. That's my best Timothy Oliphant from Justified. Lexington. This is why we have a lot of shows shoot in Canada. That's why a lot of CW shows are shooting in Canada. The Flash, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, Black Lightning was shot here, I believe. I think so. I'm almost positive Black Lightning was shot in Atlanta. And Arrow. Oof, jeez, I couldn't think of the other show. And Gotham Knights. I don't know where that was shot, but I did not watch that show. Local production plummeted in LA. In 2020, obviously that was going to happen because of the pandemic. But in 2020, there was overall production went down from 36.5 thousand to 18.9 thousand. Features, series, commercials, things of that nature. It resumed. It jettisoned back up to 37,000 in 2021, but then there's been a slow, static decline until 2024, when only 23,000 things were shot in LA. And LA is Hollywood, so they want to keep that. They want to keep that. We'll have to see if these incentives are going to be enough. So, and I'll give you a little insight into how I used to and how I currently view productions. Now, a lot of people from Hollywood don't live in Hollywood anymore. A lot of people who work in the industry don't. Not a lot. A decent amount of people don't live in Hollywood proper anymore. They don't even live in California proper. And when I was young, this is very specific, and I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, but the movie Wet Hot American Summer, when I watched that, I always assumed that even when someone wasn't on screen or even in the scene, that they were always on set, like watching their friends. And I remember very specifically watching that movie. I own it on DVD. I also own it on Blu-ray. I remember watching that movie. The DVD is probably warped by now. I used to watch. I was watching Spider-Man 3 and then Spider-Man 2 a couple weeks ago, and I used to watch Spider-Man 2 like all the time. I still have the DVD, but I bought the 4K digital copy, and I was watching that. And then I watched Spider-Man 3.1 because I'd never seen the editor's cut, and it is not different at all. there's like 2 minutes of included things that don't change anything. Anyway, but I was watching it, and I still remembered everything. Like, I'm talking every single second. I could, as much as I can plot out a single episode of The Simpsons from any season, any episode, I could still plot out Spider-Man 2. I saw something Disney. Anyway, I used to watch Wet Hot American Summer a lot and Spider-Man 2 a lot. Anyway, and but I always thought that Bradley Cooper was off camera watching Amy Poehler, and he's just like laughing at her lines. But that's not how television works. That's not how, or movies. That's not how anything works, really. And then now, whenever I hear that there's a show shooting in LA or a movie shooting in LA, I think, oh, that person was able to go home instead of going to some corporate apartment. They're able to go home and see their family and go to sleep in their own bed. And that makes me think that's just like a really sweet thing to think about. Anyway, that's it. That's all I got for you. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people all the time. If you want to watch a video version of those chats, like the one I just had with Alexander Hodge from Grosse Point Garden Society, you can go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can see me sit down with a bunch of people under the interviews. That's what it's called. If you want to see a video version of this show, go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy, as well as the other podcasts, Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show, and LinkedIn Logs, the Jobs Podcast. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts to those shows, as well as this show. Find us on Instagram, Blue Sky, Facebook, and TikTok at C Plus Comedy. Me at Chad Black White. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time. I'm going to wait until the music comes in. And now I'm going to bow out. Bye.